Hi everyone, Thomas here. As you all know by now, I decided to put this SFF180 membership of mine to actual use this year, and attend the 50th Anniversary Nebula ceremony in Chicago the first weekend in June. In addition to seeing loads of cool authors, and celebrating an award that's still respectable, it would be a much-needed vacation from Texas rain and heat. I woke up June 4th at the ungodly hour of holy cow is it really still dark outside o'clock, and made it to Austin's airport early enough, I thought, to catch a 7:40 flight. Sadly, things got off to a rocky start. Suffice it to say, you don't want to see this screen when using the check-in kiosk. That's cool, no rush, take your time. So basically, due to some stupid issue involving my name on my debit card not being exactly precisely the same as on my reservation, causing such confusion for the airline I had to stand in line for a ticket agent, you guessed it, I missed my flight and had to be rescheduled. See that top listing? That was the plane I was meant to catch. See the third one? That's my new flight. Life is full of joy. Mindful of just how easy it is to get arrested if you hulk out in airports these days, I did the only thing I could do. If you want to see how a disgruntled Thomas spices up his breakfast comfort pizza, behold. This is actually per usual for me, but I needed the endorphin rush to make me moderately less murderous. Wi-Fi was a washout, but happily I had a horror novel all about devastating plane crashes to keep me cheerful and upbeat. It's just as well I did, because honestly, apart from randomly patrolling undercover lady assassins, what is there to see in Austin's airport that you can't see in other cities? Well, there's a Tex-Mex restaurant, my feet, and Amy's ice cream outlet, which for some cruel, heartless reason wasn't open for breakfast. This ad. I couldn't quite figure out what it was selling, but I will say, generally, if your whole sales pitch is, whatever we do, it works better than sexually harassing women, you may need to set your bar a bit higher. Also, there is apparently a service allowing you the opportunity to massage a chair for the low cost of $100. I admit I could get bored over 4 hours, but I can't imagine ever being that bored. With comfort pizza consumed, it was time to see if there were any updates about my flight. Wait, hang on. Really? Really? This place was starting to look good to me right about now. I wonder if she'd make me a deal on the entire inventory. Well, there was nothing for it but to dial up some chill-out reading music on my old school pod and settle in. But you know, there must be a physicist somewhere in the world who can explain why chords always do this no matter what. The only advantage to the delay, they finally opened Amy's, an Austin institution where they prepare your ice cream by first pounding it into submission and then subjecting it to G-force and delta V testing. Once more, my mood was lifting. Flash forward a few hours, 100 or so pages, and a couple of failed attempts at napping later, I was finally able to board my flight, and was on my way through the bright blue skies to Chicago, which means it's time for the obligatory Sinatra clip. My kind of town, Chicago is. Okay, that's good. It was a fine sunny day upon my arrival as I checked into the Palmer House Hilton downtown, a hotel that is so lavishly Gilded Age, it's the kind of place where they say to themselves, what can we give people to pass the time with while waiting for the elevator? How about a baby grand piano? Apparently, this was also the place where brownies were invented, so that's at least 1 point in the 1%'s favor. My breathtakingly expensive room on the 17th floor was quite inviting. While I couldn't say a lot for the view, other than that it was mildly terrifying in a Fallout 3 kind of way, I had a number of rather sweet amenities. The bed was soft and lush and had pillows for all 4 of my heads, a nice work desk with my very own tablet, which I wasn't allowed to take home. There was bath soap that kind of looked like a phaser, but sadly wasn't. The clock radio appeared to have both a jukebox and subspace communicator attached, and most importantly, I got drink vouchers. Booyah! There was also an ironing board, but for some things there's an old school workaround that takes some of the effort out of life.
Okay, observe. This is an old traveling salesman trick.
You can do this one at home too, kids. Have a pair of slacks that need pressing? Just lift up your mattress and lay them out nice and smooth on the box spring. Sleep on it overnight and your slacks will be pressed as flat as printer paper.
Et voila.
And yet, despite all this luxury, I must say, walking the corridors, it was easy to get a feeling about this place.
Hello, Danny. Come and play with us. Come and play with us, Danny.
Given how twisty and labyrinthine everything was, I was expecting moderate difficulty in locating where in the hotel the conference was actually being held. But that was literally the easiest part of my day. What struck me about the conference itself was how sparsely populated it felt, but I was there early-ish, and to be fair, a lot of folks just turn up Saturday for the awards alone. What made all the morning's airport hassle worthwhile was the awesome goodie bag I was handed upon checking in, as well as the freebie table they just threw up in the hall in lieu of anything like a dealer's room. I scored an exciting mix of old and new books, and thanks to someone having the foresight to open a UPS store right on lobby level, I could conveniently ship my swag home. Now, as I had been up since something like 5 a.m., I was way too exhausted to attend Thursday night's opening reception. But I was up bright and early Friday, where, upon realizing I hadn't eaten a thing since yesterday's comfort pizza and ice cream chaser, I was feeling a bit peckish. So it was downstairs for the hotel's epic breakfast buffet. What, you think a Gilded Age palace like this offers continental breakfast or something? Ha! Let's see what we have. Oh, I could get used to this. Let's see, syrup? Don't mind if I do. Some roasted potatoes? Yeah, why not? And here we come to first world carnivore problems. Which preparation of pig carcass do I choose? Might as well split the difference. I could hear my cardiovascular system sobbing in despair at this point, so fine, a little added fruit it is. Come to Papa. Now observe as I responsibly ignore the pastries. Oh, here's where they're hiding the jam. Why put it over here when the toast is over there? Now, before all of my vegetarian and vegan viewers mass unsubscribe in pure disgust, please be aware I never indulge in breakfast quite like this. For one thing, I'm a bachelor, so without the occasional nagging Skype from my mom, I might very well forget to put on pants before leaving the house, let alone make the effort to fire up a stove. So, breakfast for me usually involves grabbing an apple or a banana or something. The goal here was to feel fed for the entire day, and $25 and 25,000 calories later, I'd say mission accomplished, and I was ready for anything, including triage if necessary. It was finally time for my first conference event, a tour of the Baker & Taylor book wholesaler facilities. This required a bus ride of a little over an hour, well past fog-shrouded skyscrapers, steel bridges, and North by Northwest Cary Grant crop duster country, to a quaint little town south of the city called Moments, where a small group of us were about to experience something kind of like a NASA tour for book lovers. I know we all understand there must be a complex process involved in getting the books we love into our hands, but to actually see the machinery of it in action is pretty awesome. For some of the finer details, I'll turn you over briefly to our tour guide, Amanda.
The Moments warehouse consists of 478 square feet with approximately 8 miles of conveyor line. Our warehouse system is an online information system that supports all the warehouse operational functions, including receiving, stowing, inventory control, space management, order selection, order replenishment, shipping, and management. Our inventory today is almost 1.5 million units, comprising of 700,000 titles. The system relies on a barcode designation for both product and location. We barcode everything, including the cartons. In order to increase efficiency, we pick all orders for an area at the same time. So each of our pickers may be picking as many as 4 batches at a single time. And they could be picking 127 customer orders at the same time. It just depends on who's in that batch. The system will not allow the picker to scan a wrong product or place it in a wrong tote. We pick approximately 200,000 units per day, and we currently house approximately 6 million units, representing over 385,000 book and entertainment titles.
I never knew something as basic as a cardboard box could be so high-tech. See these? They have inner plastic wrapping pre-installed, then the whole thing is run through a heater which shrink wraps the product right inside the box, like microwaving a Hot Pocket. I'd kind of like to be buried this way. Anyway, it looks like a pretty tiring job, and I'd say this guy has the right idea with his massive Mountain Dew mug. So big thanks all around to Baker & Taylor and to Amanda for excellent, if somewhat camera-shy tour guiding.
So we'll kind of like try to, give them the area.
Oh, sorry.
Are you videotaping?
Is that okay?
The whole time?
I ended up recording so much at Baker & Taylor that I killed my batteries. So after returning to the hotel and rejuicing both self and camera, I attended a couple of panels. The first featured 3 fine Nebula Grand Masters, including this year's inductee, Larry Niven, reminiscing about old times. Hard to hear even in the room, but still a fount of fine old anecdotes.
When I went to my first Worldcon, I think the first person that I met was Hal Clement.
Wow.
Good choice. Good choice. No kidding. And I went up to him, and he was eating in the coffee shop of the hotel, and I didn't know the protocol or anything, so I went up to him while he was eating, told him how much loved Mission of Gravity, other works. And he was extremely nice to me. Thank goodness it was him and not somebody else. He was very, very gracious and charming to me and lovely, and that sort of set the tone for everything else. And then the next day I met Harlan.
The old guard were then followed by a diversity and representation in SFF panel, with some of the genre's top emerging young bloods, including short story nominee Alyssa Wong, who offered her personal formula for successful representation.
What's the day today?
The 5th of June.
After this, there was some mixing, some mingling, autographing, and general hanging out. Finally, the evening featured yet another reception, because you can't have too many of those, especially ones with a cash bar, brisket, and a free Chicago pizza buffet. I bumped into a handful of old friends, but mostly got to meet and chat with some very friendly folks new to me. This is what a real professional community looks like, not the kind of disgruntled yapping you hear in fringe corners of the internet. The night culminated in a mass autographing, which is the one event at every year's Nebula ceremony that anyone can just walk into off the street. The presence of nominee Sujian Liu, and thanks to Ken Liu for educating me on the proper Mandarin pronunciation of his name, brought out an impressive contingent of Asian American fans. This guy also had a healthy queue, as did this one. But considering many of the authors who were receiving less attention than they deserved, I couldn't help but think that this was an event SFWA probably could have promoted more energetically. At last, an exciting first full conference day came to a close, and I drifted off to my room and to bed.
Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys in the second part. And until then, happy reading.